Cool. Sounds good. I love the beard, Gustavo. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Horizen first quarterly live stream on October 30th, 2019. I'm your host, Rob Viglione at FinPunk on all of our communication platforms. Very happy to have you here. This is a big thing for us. We have a lot of updates to share with you today about what we have done and the things that we are currently working on that you can expect in the near future. Rolf Versluis, Block Ops, will not be joining us today, but he'll be back for the next one. So next slide, please. Okay, so the format is roughly the same here. So the big picture, we're gonna kick it off with the community highlights, get into the change that we've implemented here. We originally, if you guys have been with us for a while, you remember we used to do bi-weekly updates, and then we switched to monthly updates, and now we're going quarterly. And I'll talk about that process a little bit. It's been a trade-off, I think a good one. And then we'll get into a lot of the project updates that we have, some news for you guys. Then we'll get into some development updates, and then we'll go into the business development updates, and then we'll talk about the node system, marketing updates, and regional activity. So, okay, the community member highlights. This is probably one of my favorite parts about each of these live streams, and we have a very notable one here. Actually, every one of these updates is notable. So I'm going to kick it off with Threado. So Threado has really emerged as a prolific member of our community, supporting across the board. So really, if you get onto either of our Telegram channels, if you're on Twitter and following Horizen or ZEN on Twitter, really, you're going to come across Threado because he's everywhere and he's constantly helping out others in the community and constantly spreading the word. So like I said on one of our previous public weekly insiders, if every one of our community members were like a Threado, or if we had just some more Threados, we would be for sure the most popular blockchain project in the world. As I have no doubt we will be, because we have Threado. So we have a really nice, a nice thing for the community with a countdown to our first block halving, which is going to happen towards the latter end of next year. And you can check out the countdown from Sotomayor and Yuzo. So Sotomayor is, he kind of hogs these community member highlights. He's always on here because he's always doing such a fantastic job for us. And then Louis has emerged as really, I feel like I'm having one-on-one communications with Louis on our forum every day. He's constantly over there providing suggestions, feedback for us, testing products, and just really being extremely helpful and keeping the forum very active. So thank you guys very much across the board. One thing I'll say throughout this live stream, check out the banner on the bottom of the slides. And if you have questions that you want us to answer in the Q&A at the end, please go to menti.com and use the code that you see here, 939105. Okay, next slide. So what's the deal with these quarterly live streams? Why are we doing quarterly versus bi-weekly or monthly, right? That's the big question. So what we decided to do, so first of all, these updates are extremely important when it comes to the transparency level that we want to provide, because we are a community startup. And as a community startup, we are first and foremost responsible to you guys, the community. So we can't just go off and do our own thing and pop in every now and then with telling you what's going on. We have to be very interactive, and we have to be getting feedback from you guys as often as possible. So the frequency of that matters, and the extent to which we're sharing what we're doing with you guys is really important. And it's really important to make sure that, number one, we're doing the right thing, we're doing what you want, and make you guys comfortable with the fact that we have built, I think, a fantastic team that is, in my mind, one of the best in the industry. But we're also focusing that team on efforts that you guys care about, right? So we need that feedback, and showing you what we're doing and providing this level of transparency. It is unique for this, really for any industry. I was going to say for this industry, but you don't see this anywhere else. And I think this is part of, this kind of new world or new way of doing business that we're trying to pioneer. So the trade-off here was, yes, we want the transparency for everyone. We want community feedback, but it takes resources to do these things. You can see these slides are, very, very detailed. They look beautiful, right? And there's a lot of work that goes into it with the team on the back end to make what you see here possible. A ton of work. So we have to figure out how to prioritize our resources as a project. And there's no secret that we've been in a prolonged bear market, right? Which we'll see if we're emerging out of, but we had to optimize the resources here. And what we did with the trade-off was we're giving you quarterly updates that are more detailed than the monthly ones were previously. But what we've done to counteract this is we do weekly insiders. So we've opened up our team calls, like really the team calls that we do every single week, where you can see the inner workings, who's working on what are we thinking, you know, what's the next thing on the horizon, no pun intended. And this is open to the public now. Our team workflows, how we work, how we operate, you know, these Discord channels are now public. We've taken them from private to public. So there's just much more accountability, much more transparency, and much greater frequency just at the more granular level with what we're doing by opening up the weekly insider and our team workflows. And then when it comes to these big, you know, broad, big picture overviews and updates, the quarterly frequency was the one we figured was the most efficient for us here. Okay, so next slide on what we called at the beginning of the year. 2019 was our year of delivery. I myself was pretty blown away when I saw the slide that Angie put together of looking at by quarter what we've done. And this is really the major accomplishments, because we have daily accomplishments at the team level of what we're doing, and many more, you know, like smaller level accomplishments that in total make it or meaningful and make a big difference. But at the high level for the major accomplishments, you can look here by quarter. On the engineering side, you see we do quarterly updates, right? So our software, we go through our quarterly deprecation cycle, and we try to do something to improve the software every single quarter. So we have that on schedule. Then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we do, you know, to support that. So at the beginning of the year, one of the biggest things that we did on the engineering side, or very important, not one of the biggest, was a snark vulnerability fix. We had a scaling study that we went through and what's the most efficient way to scale our technology. The sidechain framework was locked down. We had a roadmap for Sphere by Horizen, which is now our flagship application that we delivered. And then we've been slowly but surely hiring very highly skilled, very competent, and very motivated software engineers. And the cumulative effect of this, every single quarter, you can see we're hiring more. And then we have more coming on in Q4 now. So the team over the last year has grown significantly, and the quality of the team has improved. And what this means is that the pace of work and the quality of work that we can do and the types of things that we can work on are accelerating. So I'm really excited about that, and we're going to talk about where we're going, you know, later on in this presentation. But the biggest asset that we have, I would say, is the competency and strength of our core engineering group. So we're extremely proud of that. And you can see the methodical element here. And I have to say, bringing Alberto on board was probably the game changer for us, because he brought a new way, not a new way, but an extremely high bar to the table of how do we define an engineering team? How do we work together? And what's the quality of the work that we want done? And this flows into the very basics of who do we hire? So I'll give you a little insight, and you know, maybe you look at these numbers and you say, okay, big deal. You brought one senior engineer in Q1, two in Q2, three in Q3, and we have, you know, another few coming in Q4. So the numbers aren't high, but the quality level that we're bringing in is the important element. So behind the scenes, what we do is before we even interview anyone, we give them a series of technical tests, and then we only even interview the top 10 to 20% of those candidates. And of those, good luck if you can get through Alberto's standards beyond there. He's kind of glaring at me at this point, but you know, what it means at the end of the day is that our biggest asset is this core, you know, technology group that our capability to deliver is only accelerating. So very, very exciting for us as a project. Now on the BD side, we've had just consistent deliveries and key partnerships, exchange listings, and you can see that again, cumulative effects are what matter, because we're not just doing things here and there, we're doing things methodically, consistently, and then over time, the ecosystem that we're building is something that is greater than the sum of its parts. And this is, you know, a very humbling experience, yet when you look back at what we've been able to build so far, and really, we're just getting warmed up. So you can go through here, the slides will be made publicly available, but every single quarter, you can see the story is, we're accelerating the pace of delivery, and then also the complexity of the things that we are delivering on. So later in this presentation, Alberto and I are going to go into a little bit of a deep dive on the Sidechain Alpha, and then what was delivered on the 21st, last Monday, and then the beta that's already been scoped and work is already in progress on. So that's going to be a really big deal. And you can see the complexity and the innovation that we're now bringing to the table on the technology side is groundbreaking and makes the project stand out in this very, very noisy industry. Okay, so the last thing I'll mention here, on the very bottom right of the slide, on the marketing updates, you see new faucet and exponential growth kickoff. These two little bullet points we'll talk about later are going to have compounding effects on what we're doing, because the pace at which we're acquiring new users as a project has accelerated at a remarkable way. So you see we're delivering innovative, groundbreaking technology, but also on the other side of the business, beyond just laying the framework for very successful business development and ecosystem development, now we're stepping up the new user acquisition. And strategically, this is very important. So we'll talk about more of that later. Next slide, please. Okay, so what I want to talk about here, and this is important to me. So you just looked at our accomplishments over the last 3 quarters, right? And we're going to have a bunch more this final quarter of the year. But what this has resulted in is a fundamental crypto asset score, or the fundamentals of how this project is structured, are really through the roof. And Flipside Crypto is a partner with CoinMarketCap. So if you go on CoinMarketCap, and I know I've mentioned this before, go to CoinMarketCap, look up ZEN, and click on the ratings button there. And you're going to see a rating, right? Our rating right now, I was told, number 11 in the entire industry, and we're very close to being in the top 10 of projects, and we're number 5 on the development score here. So what FCAS does, it's a fundamental crypto asset score that they unbiasedly look across every single project in the industry that I guess meets at least minimum requirements. And then they do, they look at dozens of variables per category. Major categories include like development, user activity, market maturity. And then within each of these categories, they have dozens of other variables that they look at. And in an unbiased way, algorithmically, they synthesize a total score. And this score is supposed to represent the quality, or what they call a fundamental score for every single project out there. So this goes beyond market cap. And this goes towards, how is the project doing, the health of the project. And they've just recently partnered with Moody's, one of the most prolific rating agencies in the world. And what they're trying to do is basically provide like a Moody's rating, where you get bond ratings, for instance, or corporate ratings in the financial markets. They're trying to do this in the crypto markets. And, we're really proud of this score, because we can say maybe they discovered us a little bit early, because they're actually looking underneath the hood and evaluating all elements of our project. And we've gotten to know the team behind it. And these guys are very smart and very ambitious, and really happy to be working with them. And this is just something for all of us as a community to be extremely proud of, because we're up there as one of basically the top 10, or we'll be, my prediction, top 10 pretty soon, but we're hovering right there at an industry of thousands of projects. This is a huge accomplishment. So congratulations to the team, to the community, and we need more effort to really get these numbers up. And we'll talk about how to get these numbers up as well. But what these numbers up means is that we're succeeding as a project in a number of very important dimensions. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was, we know accountability and transparency. So in the nature of, or in the vein of transparency and accountability, here's what the ZEN Blockchain Foundation is spending money on in terms of like big categories, because this is important. We have a treasury fund, and a treasury fund has 20% of the block subsidy flowing into it. And this right now is governed by the ZEN Blockchain Foundation. Now, our goal longer term, and of course, this is, the timeline for this is budget conditional, but the goal is to democratize this funding pool. In the meantime, the ZEN Blockchain Foundation, a Delaware nonprofit corporation, controls the budget, and this is what the team uses to build and evangelize and grow this ecosystem. Right? So we have every year we have budget plans. So what we plan to do for the year, and the way that we allocate the plan is basically we develop a roadmap, we scope projects in the roadmap, we define project plans, and then we scope the project plans with resources that we think are required to accomplish the projects. So you can see what our 2019 planned budget was. So we had about a third of the budget planned for engineering. We had about 22% of the budget planned for marketing activities, 4% for user experience type of activities, 15% for business development, General and administrative costs, we plan to be about 16% of our budget, and infrastructure, about 9% of the budget. You can see the actuals, what we really came in at for at least Q3, with 41% on our budget went to engineering. So we actually ended up spending more on engineering, but I can say this is because we've been hiring. We've actually come across just extremely, fantastic candidates that there was no way we weren't going to hire. And the pace of work and the deliveries that we've brought to maturity accelerated. So our spending exceeded what we planned. On the marketing side, we spent less, but I can say what we did spend had higher impact. And we'll talk again about the growth marketing and what we're doing there. And extremely excited for it. But our new user acquisition directly attributable to this marketing has accelerated significantly on a lower budget. So I do plan to accelerate and increase that budget over time as we've really perfected the way that we're acquiring new users and making kind of an important ecosystem contributions there. So we'll accelerate that. It's kind of like a nail it and scale it model where you first figure out how to do things right and then you scale what you're doing. On the user experience side, we've actually spent more than double what we planned, but we had some really important deliveries, especially with Sphere by Horizen. And the UX team is also behind a lot of really important website updates. And then they're the team that works on the technical side with our marketing campaigns. So really important kind of synergy across the organization there. On the BD side, we spent less money. And this is just a consequence of the reality that we've been in a prolonged bear market. And also the efficiency with which the BD team has been operating is they're doing more with less, but they're still accomplishing really important goals for us as a project and extending the broad ecosystem that we have. The G&A side, we've actually spent a little bit more, but this is also because, attributed to team growth and then, offices, facilities, and equipment that we need for teams. And then on the infrastructure side, like I say, Chronic and Rosario run a tight ship because they've spent exactly what they planned. So really good forecasting there. Now, our spending is in line with priorities. And right now, the top priorities in engineering and marketing departments, sidechains, right? That's the big one that we're doing. And that's what we've been delivering on. And that's what we're pushing development work on right now. New user acquisition. So everything that we're doing with the mindset of acquiring new users. Whenever we have a new partnership, whenever we do, spend $1 in marketing, we're thinking, what's the ROI or return on that investment that we're making? On the BD side, same thing. So the BD, in the past, or it's evolved, I can say. In the past, it was about opening markets. We weren't listed on a lot of important exchanges. Now we are because of significant effort by the BD team. And now we're extending that into, maybe more strategic or maybe more tactical markets that will support other efforts that we're doing. And maybe we can talk about some of those efforts, but we have some very concentrated BD efforts to grow specific ecosystems, now experiment in different ways to acquire new users. So all of these things flow together in a way that will make the entire ecosystem more valuable and the technology that we're building more useful to people. All right, next slide. So this is maybe the most fun slide of the deck. So we have ZEN Baby 3.0. So huge congratulations. The ZEN family has been growing. So Tuan Ho, our amazing web dev, who is just constantly powering through so many important tasks behind the scene and overperforming, has taken a little bit of time off to experience one of the best things in life. And we had a little beautiful baby boy, Min Koi, was born. So very happy for that. And this is a big congratulations to Tuan and welcoming our new ZEN Baby 3.0. Next slide. Okay, so in combination with releasing the Sidechain Alpha code last Monday, we also released white paper 2.0, we're calling it. And this is really an alignment of really the realization of the big vision that we've had for the last few years has evolved in a way that's become much more efficient and I think much more powerful. So this document much better reflects where we are currently as a project, and importantly, maybe more importantly, where we're going in the near and medium to longer term. So the big things here: scalability, and then privacy platform or privacy ecosystem. Like these are the two elements. We want to be massively scalable, and we want to bring very useful privacy tools to market so that we can actually solve real business problems. And we think this is a very powerful combination. And our architecture that we're planning for this is evolving in a way that supports that vision. So what this paper describes, and just big picture, and we'll get into much more detail about the sidechain technology that goes into this when I get Alberto on the call here. But we're thinking long term. We want very simple, secure, fast, powerful main chain, right? The core of this ecosystem. And we really want all of the application specific stuff, all of the experimentation, all of the businesses. We want all of that activity to reside on sidechains, and sidechains designed specifically for those purposes so that they can be optimized, much more efficient, and the entire system itself is extremely scalable. So there's some very important points here that all boil down to the innovative technology that we have of the cross-chain transfer protocol. And what this gives, we had a basic model paper that we published last year, and the Sidechain Alpha is the first major step on delivering that technology. Now, when Alberto comes on, he's going to give you, or maybe I'll prod him into it, a very tantalizing look into the next evolution of this, which is ridiculously fast considering we're in process of delivering the original, but we have an extension to that model, and we'll just very briefly allude to it. Now, some important characteristics of the sidechain system: completely decoupled consensus between main chain and any number of sidechains. So high level, what this means is if you want to build some application that has specific logic, you don't, in our system, have to program that specifically into our main protocol. And this is the important thing. The main protocol is not a gateway that you have to pass through. You don't have to convince us on the Zen Blockchain Foundation or me or our engineering team of your application that you want to deploy. That's important. This is a permissionless environment that we're launching, totally decentralized, which is what blockchain ecosystems should be. So we don't rely on a system of trusted nodes, trusted certifiers, and we're not the gatekeepers of it. So every time you come up with a new idea, if you want to introduce a new consensus as a sidechain, if you want to go beyond sidechain, and maybe I'll prod Alberto to talk about that a little bit more as well, you can do that, and you don't have to run it by us. You don't have to get our buy-in. You don't have to get us to program anything into the main chain. We're designing a protocol so that you can do it yourself, and this is really important for this technology to scale. And we'll get into more of those details in a bit. But importantly, you can read all of these details and also the kind of refined evolution and direction for the project in the new white paper. So please, guys, if you're listening to this live stream, you obviously care about the project. Read the white paper, understand what's in there, and if you have questions, please reach out to us. This is a very interactive community. Make suggestions, but importantly, spread the word of what we're doing, because it is, very innovative and I think very unique for this industry. Okay, Unbounded by design. So Horizen, we have a new tagline here, and the tagline reflects the technology and the direction that we're going as a project, where we are still very much privacy-oriented, privacy-centric, one could say, but the privacy technology is like our innovation to privacy technology, going beyond where we started, where we bootstrapped as a project in the zero-knowledge space. Our extension of this, or our contribution to the ecosystem, is extending zero-knowledge technology into the application domain via the sidechain system. And again, maybe I'll prod Alberto to talk about that in more detail, but the tagline represents the evolution of the project from a privacy coin to a privacy platform that is unbounded by design. Okay, so now I know there's a lot of content here, guys, but this is a quarterly update, so we have a lot to cover. Next up, you can see here our 2019 completed projects. So these are the completed projects in more detail, and we have bullet points that highlight the major elements that went into each of these projects. So clearly, the biggest thing that we've done this year is the Sidechain SDK Alpha release. This is a huge milestone for the project, because prior to this, as far as the market or as far as the public was concerned, I mean, yeah, of course, our messaging was that we're doing much more than just kind of the privacy coin that we bootstrapped as. We knew that we had this significant innovation going on, in private GitHub repositories, but the rest of the world, or the rest of the industry, didn't know that, right? They could take our word for it, but what Alpha is, it's really the delivery, and the way I look at this is it's our coming out as a technology innovator within the industry. So it's an important milestone for us as a project, and Alberto, again, is going to go into more details with me shortly on that, but you can see the major bullet points for what went into Alpha are listed here, so you can reference this later on. We have, like I said, every quarter we have a software delivery. So we had ZenD's 2.0.19 that was just released. So every quarter we go through some improvements there. We'll get into some of those highlights. We completed another Sphere by Horizen release this quarter. We had Zencast.js was updated. We had, Swing CI was updated. So we've been doing a lot of stuff as well on the project side, and actually completing a lot of what or really completing everything that we set out to work on. Now, the next slide, you can see a big update for us. So the faucet was upgraded and redesigned, and redesigned with some gamification features that have sort of gone viral, actually. And they've gone viral to the extent that we're getting a few thousand new users per day coming into our ecosystem. And the original thought was, and this is where we did actually, this is a little insight into how we operate as an organization. So we had a hypothesis that this type of referral marketing or kind of growth marketing process with the gamification features of the faucet would induce some sort of new user growth. Now, the counter here, so say the alternate hypothesis was, well, you're just getting a bunch of very low quality leads or bots that are just kind of scamming the system. And of course, like a cat and mouse game that always exists here is, for sure, we had a lot of people that were trying to game the system and exploit it and not actually contributing into it. But what we learned from some significant data analysis was that about 70% of the traffic is actually new users, and the users are staying in our ecosystem, are actually funneling them through different elements of our ecosystem. So we're seeing spillover effects coming in through the faucet, and then people downloading our wallets, testing them out, doing transactions on the network, coming to our website, supporting us on Twitter, going through all of our social media channels, going to Academy, importantly. That big thing here was funneling users in through the faucet to understand what is cryptocurrency, to get a little bit of Zen, then funneling them into the Horizen Academy to learn more about the project, learn more about blockchain. And then ultimately, the goal here is convert new users in a sustainable way that can actually grow. So really phenomenal results here. And I'll leave this for the marketing team to go into more detail, but very happy about that. And you can see the elements. So what's in blue are the recent updates, and the elements in black haven't changed since the last update that we gave you guys. And you can always refer back on YouTube to prior updates. Okay, so active projects. I'm not going to go into much detail here. I'm going to leave this for Alberto, but the Sidechain SDK beta work has already started, which is incredible. We had a huge delivery on Monday, the 21st, and by Tuesday, the team was already deep diving, like in frantic mode on beta, and frantic just because they're passionate about what we're doing. And it was really, I'd say very amazing to see the team come together to already start planning out work for beta, and not just planning out, but actually working on beta. So very happy for that. Wait for Alberto to get into some detail. Supporting the Sidechain ecosystem, we have to make modifications into the core protocol. And this isn't contradicting what I said before. These are one-time modifications at sort of we can say like a universal level, where we do it to enable a protocol that now others can just plug into and build on their own in a permissionless environment. But the Sidechain system needs work in the main chain, and we already have work going on there towards beta. And why haven't we implemented sapling yet? Maybe I can even induce Alberto while we have him on the line to talk a little bit about that. But we've integrated sapling into our code base, but not put it into production. And this was because there was a known denial of service issue with it. And the bottom line was what the Zcash team did with sapling was they made it extremely efficient, faster than ever, and more efficient than ever, low cost computation to do shielded transactions. And what this did is it introduced a way where people could potentially kind of flood the network with very low cost transactions. So rather than taking something that's working very well right now, and really our focus effort anyway is on the sidechain work, rather than kind of diverting effort into something that we could make our current stable code base a little bit less stable in production, we decided to do more research into this issue before making sapling go live. So that's what we have there on the active projects. Second slide. We have work on Sphere by Horizen that Gustavo is going to go into, so I won't go into a lot of detail here. That's on the desktop version, but then we also have some very important mobile releases coming for you on both iOS and Android. And Rosario's idea was to, sooner than later, actually open this up to community testing rather than going through the full battery of internal testing. We're going to open this up concurrently with the community because we want you guys to be part of this and we want the feedback from you. So that's going to be really fun. I believe, so we're booking this as 90% complete now. I believe we're looking to open this up to community testing at the start of December. So that could be a fun product towards the end of the year. And then Jonas is going to go into some detail about the Horizen developer environment. But we are building, unique, innovative technology here. And then also what we're doing is we're trying to build an environment where we get people to come in and start using and playing with the technology and extending it into different, either extending the core of the technology or extending it into different application domains. So we're being proactive as a team, as a community, to build the environment that can actually support a community of developers to come and use our technology. All right. So here's where we're going to do something a little bit different, and Alberto and I are going to get on the call together, and we're going to tag team what we're considering a big technology breakthrough here. So let me switch computers, and we'll do this together. Okay, so how's this, guys? All right. So, guys, thank you for paying attention so far. I know it's been a whirlwind of information. Now, what we have for you in this next slide, let's move to the next one, guys. We're going to talk about the sidechain technology and what we delivered in alpha. And then, if Alberto just doesn't go into detail here, I'm going to prod him on what's going into beta and, some very important updates for you there. But just before we cue this off, what I want to say is this is the coming out for us for the last two plus years. We've truly, like, from a functional perspective, as much as we've been talking about wanting to be a privacy platform, we're functionally been a privacy coin. And this right here is our first major step towards realizing the vision that we've had for years now of being an actual privacy platform. Because we don't want to just be a replica of, say, like Zcash or other privacy coins on the market. What we want to do is leverage this amazing technology, zero knowledge cryptography, and extend it into useful ways that go into the application domain. Now, what we've done to support this while we've been actually developing this system is to build out the infrastructure to make it possible. Because if we want to have a very large number of sidechains that do a very large number or solve a very large number of problems in the world or in business or in applications, we need to have the infrastructure to be able to support that. And we're really proud to say that we have the largest full node network in the entire industry of about 30,000 full nodes. And this number I know is going to be growing fairly significantly in the near future. So this is what allows us to now really open this up and be unbounded by design, as our new tagline says. But maybe we can actually hear from Alberto directly, since it was his mind that brought this innovation to reality. He came up with the model, and then he figured out actually how to build it, which is kind of maybe the most important thing, right? So maybe Alberto, maybe you could walk us through, like, what is this system, okay, and then what is alpha? What did we just deliver?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would like to say that first, that alpha is very important because it's the result of many months of work of the whole team, and so this was a very big milestone for us.
Yeah.
And what's inside alpha? So, and I remember that alpha now is public, so everyone can
see what's in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not all software engineers.
Yeah, let's go through, let me say, some bullet points about what is implemented already in alpha.
Yeah.
So in alpha, we have a full working sidechain node implementation that is also capable to communicate and synchronize with other sidechain nodes. What does this mean? This means that a sidechain node is able to synchronize blocks, okay, and capable to transfer information between in the network of the sidechain. And this is the first thing that is needed. This networking layer is very important. It is the base for us. And okay, but beyond that, a forger, because I remember that the first implementation that we are going to do is a proof of stake and consensus implementation. Right. So for this reason, I'm calling it a forger. And so a forger is already capable in this alpha release to monitor main chain and include main chain block references in sidechain. And what does this mean? Okay, let's say that I am a user and I have some coins in the main chain, and let's say that I want to send some of these coins in sidechain. So I will perform a forward transfer. That means that I will spend some coins that I have in the main chain and send them to the sidechain. This is a transaction with a specific output. So spending regular UTXOs, but creating a specific output for that sidechain. So cool, but how sidechain node will know about this transfer? Okay, the sidechain is allowed to follow the main chain. Let me be more precise with this. The forger will be entitled to monitor main chain blocks and also to get to recognize if there are sidechain related transactions, sidechain related transactions. So we'll be able to parse a main chain block, extract the information that are related to that specific sidechain, and include them in a sidechain block. And this inclusion, this set of information that are sidechain related, is called main chain block reference. And so this means that the sidechain block will have this main chain block reference with that specific forward transfer, and every sidechain node will be then aware that that user had this balance. So this is quite
that's important. Huge. Yeah, that's pretty important, I would say.
Okay, and that's what we are also including in this release. Okay, there is already implemented the possibility to transfer coins between users in the sidechain. So let's say I transfer some coins from mainchain to sidechain. I have this balance now, and I want to, for example, pay for something, and this means that I need to perform a transaction inside the sidechain. So we already introduced this kind of transaction, and also the possibility to extend and to introduce other kind of objects in the sidechain. Let me say, for example, if we want to implement a car registry sidechain, there is already the possibility to extend the implementation. The sidechain developer will be able to introduce the concept of car and the concept of transferring ownership of this new object. And this is already, let me say, is already designed and is there and can be, let me say, seen by a developer that wants to have a look on the code. And that's another part of this alpha release.
Yeah, and that's an important point. Really, the alpha release is a huge technology milestone for us, but it's not really geared for the end user at this point. It's really geared for blockchain developers to look at, and they could start experimenting with running their sidechain nodes, and initialize a sidechain on our separate testnet, run a sidechain node or a series of nodes, make some transactions, and then they could, even if they want to get a little crazy, start extending the logic on the objects to do certain types of applications.
That's a very good point, because okay, what a sidechain developer would be able to do? They can download the software and apply some modifications and run this modified sidechain node in reg test mode. That is let me say, you will be able to run a local instance of a blockchain. I mean, a very simple sidechain, and so you will be able to experiment these possibilities.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So the mathematics and the model itself for this implementation that we're started building with the alpha release is available on archive, and on our website you can see the decoupled consensus white paper that we have that describes the base model. But there's something a little bit more on the horizon here, right? We're already thinking beyond the basic model. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
I mean, actually, we have been working in stealth mode, let me say, on an extension of the model that make the model even more secure and more scalable. Many other possibilities will arise from this extension of the model, and paper will be released soon with a formal description of it. So stay tuned, because it's quite interesting extension.
Yeah, I can say the geeks out there of us are going to absolutely love the document, but from the user perspective, it actually solves a lot of problems that make this technology, that will make this technology much more useful and scalable. So very important, news to come with what we're calling the extended model.
Yeah.
So that's great. So anything else we want to talk about with the sidechains at this point? Because I mean, really, this is, before we came public with the Sidechain Alpha, really, if you just looked at us publicly as a project, we were just another privacy coin. But this just shows that the capability that we've been building, the engineering team in Milan, and also our other partners around the world working on this, have been doing very significant innovative work that now we finally made public a portion of that. And there's still so much more that's going into it, and going from alpha to beta is itself going to be a very significant extension of our technology.
Yeah, in reality, we have never stopped working. So,
Exactly.
Alpha is just a milestone, and we published it, but we're already working on extending it. And for example, I mean, we are working on consensus implementation. That is what is going to be included in beta.
This is a question I wanted to ask you. So what are you thinking about consensus in the sidechains?
Okay.
This is a nice little surprise, I think.
What we're going to include in the next beta release is a full implementation of robust Proust-based consensus, and this is quite huge. Also, because we are introducing some changes, because obviously the consensus should be adopted to be used in the sidechain, and considering also that there are main chain block references in it. So many, let's say, consideration has been made, for example, to manage forks in the main chain and so on. And so, and for this reason, we are applying some modification to the robust Proust based implementation.
Right.
And this would be part of the next beta release.
So guys, this is huge for a number of reasons. So number one, Ouroboros is a peer-reviewed, validated, mathematically validated and tested blockchain framework that is proof of stake. And proof of stake here means, from the kind of economic perspective for us as an ecosystem, is to run an Ouroboros Proust sidechain, you will be committing ZEN into the sidechain, and this will be used in the consensus framework for new block generation or forging on the network. So what this does is, if we have successful sidechain implementations, successful applications that run on on our network, or businesses that bring use cases into our network, this is very good for just supporting the broader ecosystem. So really happy about it.
Oh, but there is even more.
Oh my gosh.
So what will be on beta? What is the next part? Next part is withdrawing coins from the sidechain to the main chain. Oh, okay. What does this mean? This means
that's important, right?
I mean, it's important. So we're going to introduce epochs in the sidechain and withdrawal requests. So, for example, if I have some, we transfer the ownership of the car. Now you have the coins, I have the car, but you want to withdraw them.
Right.
So what you're going to do, you're going to do a withdrawal request, and many other users are going to do a withdrawal request. At the end of the epoch, all these withdrawal requests are going to be collected in a certificate, and then the certificate will be sent to main chain for transferring these coins. So coins will not be available anymore in the sidechain, and the coins are, let us say, transferred to the main chain.
Right.
And this will be part of the next beta release.
But when you're talking certificates, do you mean like trusted certifiers and centralized authority, or what?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, we put a big effort in making the whole design and the whole system totally decentralized and not relying on any kind of trusted party. So this is our main goal.
So I would like to say that Alberto Satoshi 2.0.
Oh,
but I'm just kidding. But thank you very much for joining us here. I think this was really fantastic.
Thank you.
And maybe if we have some questions at the end on the Q&A, it'd be great to have you back on. Cool. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to switch back over to the other computer. All right, guys, and I'm back over here. So cool. Let's move on to the next slide, please. And it was really fantastic having Alberto on here live to be able to, go into more detail about really the most important technology deliverable that we have so far as a project. But it really is just a starting point for us. So, like I said before, we're calling out to all core developers here, all blockchain developers, application developers that are interested in kind of sidechain applications for what we're doing. But really, this is a very early stage of maturity for the sidechain technology. We're calling it an alpha for a reason. So what we want to encourage people to come in, check out the technology, run your own sidechain nodes and see if you can extend the object types to do certain types of useful applications. Now, the biggest incentive that we can think of at this point, which I think is a really big one, is you will have an exclusive Horizen developer t-shirt that we give to you for free for your participation. But maybe Lucy can elucidate that a little bit more. But, and it's sad to say, but these are only going out to Horizen developers. This is a very prestigious t-shirt. So, this is your big incentive and reward for coming to join us here. So next slide, please, guys. And I know we're going a little bit longer than we normally do here because this is a quarterly update and we've just had so much news for you, so much that's been going on. But ZEN 2.0.19 was successfully deployed. So these are just kind of our scheduled quarterly upgrades to our improvements, releases to our core ZenD technology. And big thanks, obviously, to Alberto Garofalo, Alberto Sala, the core engineering team, Maurizio Chronic for working on this, for testing it, delivering it. Then we have a whole communication, engine that goes on beyond this. So it's not just on the engineering side; it's also on the BD side. The communications team of Horizen is getting the word out and making sure that all of our partners are upgrading the technology. So huge thank you to everyone there. Next slide, please. So what went into 2.0.19? We had external dependency was updated, new DNS seed nodes for testnet and mainnet were added, really important. Zcash had a fix for a vulnerability, CVE 2019-17048. That's a mouthful, otherwise known as ping. That was included. And we updated the next deprecation date, which will be on February 25th, approximately. And a huge thank you for everyone in the community and our ecosystem who successfully upgraded the software. So what is known as this is a community-owned project, and what that means is we can do whatever we want as engineers. We can go in and build whatever we want, but we need you guys to actually run it and use it, right? So you guys in the end are actually in charge of this. And thank you everyone for upgrading the technology to 2.0.19, to all of our pool operators, node operators, exchanges, wallet, POS providers, and everyone else who supported the release. Okay, so big news here on the engineering team. Really happy, honestly privileged to have Marcelo join our team. So Marcelo comes to the engineering team with actually a PhD in information science. So he is extremely smart, but also such an amazingly nice and humble guy. He was a postdoc researcher at the Laboratory for Cryptologic Algorithms at EPFL, which is a Swiss institution. So we got a fantastic cryptography researcher to come join our team, who's also an algorithm engineer. He's interested in blockchain, computer algorithms, cryptography, cybersecurity, machine learning. Really, we are so lucky as a project to have Marcelo. So, and this goes into our strategy for setting a really high bar for bringing in really just the top tier talent to join the project. So welcome, Marcelo, to the community, to the project. Really happy to have you. All right, and here is where I believe I'm handing it off to our BD team.
Hello, everyone. So it's Vano speaking from Tbilisi, Georgia. So we are proud to announce that we have been integrated with bcbitcoin.co.uk, which is a professional bespoke UK-based cryptocurrency brokerage. And they have access to a wide range of coins across the cryptocurrency market, in addition to deep pools of liquidity and OTC trading. BC Bitcoin supports buying and selling ZEN with both Great British Pound and Euro. And bank transfers and debit and credit cards are also accepted there. For large orders, you can also use their escrow service. And what's more, they have low fees and great customer reviews. And both phone and online support are available. So this is our big update for BD pipeline. And with that, I pass it to Alan for node updates.
Hi, everyone. I'll be going over what we're currently working on the secure and supernode system. Some of the projects that we've already, or some of the code parts, tasks that we already have done are the aggregating 7 days of payments into one. We're working on rate limiting some of the API calls. Some under the hood items are stricter node authentication, detecting nodes with excessive reconnects. And we're also looking at building at new tools for detecting potential exploits. Every once in a while, someone figures out how to get around the system a little bit and try to get some advantage, like maybe stacking multiple nodes into one VPS or something like that. And we're looking at ways to detect those things. And we're also looking at proof of stake address ownership to ensure that somebody isn't using somebody else's stake address to run nodes. In general, we're looking at moving forward smaller server updates. The last update, which I'll go over in a minute, was a rather large one that we had rolled out, looking at shorter time between updates so that they're smaller and a little more often, and to keep the system up and running and scalable. We're looking to do some more optimizations to scale vertically. As Rob said, that we're looking at potential growth here as the side chains roll out. And we're also just trying to stay ahead of some of those dishonest node operators who are out there. Currently have just shy of 30,000 nodes that are up and running between the secure nodes and the super nodes. There's actually a few more than what shows here because there's still some stragglers who have not updated to 2.0.19 yet. And we expect those to update soon. Next slide, please. So some of the timeline here and some of the background for those who have not been around for a while in the Horizen system. We have two components on the node tracking system, and it's an external system which was really meant to be a stopgap measure until it was integrated into the core ZEN, which will now move over to most likely the sidechain rather than within the core, now that we have the sidechains up and coming. So we have an application that runs on each secure or super node, and we have a system of servers that they communicate with to check for uptime, and the servers generate payments based on the uptime, which are a portion of the block rewards. Some of the recent accomplishments and milestones that we have here, back in Q2, we did have a reversion of what we had rolled out, and what we ended up doing was basically combining two periods of updates into one and rolled those out on September 21st and 22nd. Some of those items that were in that update are listed here, and mostly the big thing was that we optimized some of the calls to the database so that memory usage is down, database connections were cut in half, and now each node can comfortably handle about 3,000 secure nodes on a single server. And that's big because now we have ability to scale up a bit. There are many items, as you can see down at the bottom, tracking along. The items that are in November here that we'll be working on are some of the ones I explained before. We hope to deploy those this upcoming month and keep those updates coming. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Gustavo.
Thank you, Alan. So I'm excited to bring you an update on Sphere Mobile. Currently, it's going through our testing cycle, and we are still making minor changes based on internal feedback. We plan to extend the testing to the community by having an open beta, so if you want to help out, keep tuned for more news. The current release date is still TBD. And I'll quickly go through some of the bullet points. Our plan with Sphere Mobile is to deliver the cohesive and seamless experience between both desktop and mobile versions. It's a deterministic wallet, therefore you just need a seed phrase to access your funds. And the software is fully non-custodial, which means the user is always in control of his private keys. The wallet can also function into modes. One simple mode, which is address agnostic, and advanced mode, that gives you control of duet XOs at address level. The app was designed with all the best practices of UI, UX in mind, and personally, I can't wait to have the community to use it. And I'll pass it to Jonas for the HD update.
Sorry, guys. Took me a while to unmute. Hope you can hear me all right. So on the HDE, for those of you that don't know what the HDE is about, the HDE is a platform that should make it easy for developers to get started, because we would like to get more community contributions towards our code base and towards the project. One side of this is with our sidechain release, that it will become much easier launching your own custom blockchain tailored to your needs. But the other thing that is still useful is getting developers contributing to our core code base, building libraries, all that stuff. So the HDE is about making it easy for developers to get started. And once we mentioned the HDE in our newsletter, a few developers reached out. So then they had years of experience and said they were always willing to contribute to open source projects, but never really felt comfortable doing so, either because they weren't confident in their skills, they didn't know where to start, they found it hard to navigate a project's code base, and didn't really know how to get started. So those problems are the ones we want to tackle with this platform. And first of all, so we defined the MVP functionality as mostly being able to navigate open issues from our GitHub repositories. Usually you would have to jump from repository to repository to find issues, and that can be kind of cumbersome, especially if you haven't worked with GitHub before. We make issues, or we call them tasks, on the HDE website searchable and filterable, just like you would do when you go online shopping. We use the GitHub API to pull all the information that you would find on GitHub for those issues, but we can add additional information such as bounties. That's another big part of the Horizen developer environment, that we provide financial incentives for open source contributors to get involved. And that's also a way we can communicate priorities on which issues should be solved first, just by placing a bounty on top of it. Right now we have the web design pretty much ready. The technical implementation is being built. These days it's going a bit slower than usual, but that's totally understandable, as Tuan just got his little baby boy. And so that's understandable. I'm sure he will resume sooner than later. And what we're working on right now, for the most part, is policies around bounties. So first of all, we will most likely have to collect identifiable information on contributors to pay out bounties. And second of all, we need somewhat of a bounty payout policy to prevent or to be prepared for disputes that might arise eventually, either because contributions don't meet quality standards, and we have a document to point at, or disputes might arise between contributors if both of them worked on it, but one of them claims the bounty. And so that's something that we're putting some thought in, because we want to resolve those as smoothly as possible and prevent them in the best case scenario before they even happen. So yeah, that's my update for the HDE. I've also put together a Medium article on that I will release just after this live stream. Yep, that would be it from my side. Thanks, guys.
Hi, everyone. This is Lucy here speaking on behalf of our marketing team. So I have a lot of exciting updates and accomplishments to share today. So we will go through some major accomplishments in Q3 as well as in October, since we are also at the end of October. So first of all, many of you may already know that we are currently running a super exciting competition that will offer winners free secure node hosting services for up to 3 months. So we have quite a few winners, 18 winners that will get free node hosting services. And the deadline of this giveaway is November the 15th. So right now, we already have almost 7,000 entries, and there's still 16 days left. So for information about joining, so make sure you follow our social media feed, and the competition is published on our social media channels. So make sure you subscribe to us already. And then I really want to thank Ultimate Note for providing this opportunity for our community. So they volunteered to offer their services for free in order to encourage more people to contribute to our infrastructure and ecosystem. The success of this project really heavily rely on the support and contribution from all members of our ecosystem. So really, really grateful for Ultimate Nodes and many other people and teams who are also supporting the project in many different ways. And if you're also a node service provider or other type of stakeholders, and you have good ideas that you think we could collaborate to help the project, please reach out to us, and we would really, really love to hear from you. And next slide, please. Okay, so many of you already know that we have a faucet that gives out free ZEN to people every day. So basically, once you register on our faucet, you will be able to claim small amount of ZEN for free every 24 hours, forever. Okay, so the purpose for our faucet is to provide people a risk-free way to try out our products and join our ecosystem. So it is also a way to show appreciation, for our existing community. So the original faucet was already great, but we wanted to step up and provide a more engaging and rewarding process for our users, and ultimately to create an even more inviting environment and then attract more new users. So we recently upgraded our faucet with a lot of really cool new features that basically provide high incentive for not only new users to join, but also repeating users. So, and since the launch of the new faucet, and then it just has exploded with flood of new and returning users. So other than increase the payouts, the faucet also encourages people to spread words about our faucet to other people, so they will be rewarded for doing that. And then all of these new features have helped growth in our community size and user activities just exponentially. And Rob has already given a really spot on explanation on our new faucet and on why we are doing it and the benefit that it has already brought to us. So I will go into a little more detail with some supporting stats later. Next slide, please. So other than faucet, we made a lot of improvements on our other online communication channels. So including our official website, and we added new social media channels as well. We updated our homepage twice, added a new page for our Sidechain technology, improved the about page, the ZEN and wallet page. So the goals of all of these improvements are to better user experience and making our website more useful for visitors to communicate with our community more effectively. So and then also to more accurately portray what we are as a project and then what we are doing. And then again, many these improvements are based on feedback from our community, so that just to show us again that the community involvement contributes a lot to the growth of our project. So guys, keep up the good work. And next slide, please. So all right, this is the really exciting part. You really never know numbers can make you so excited until they're really good. So this is our website performance in the last 30 days. As you can see, we have some really incredible growth across the board. And this is the biggest growth we have seen since the launch of our project. Like I mentioned before, not only do we require a ton of new users, we also see a surge in terms of engagement, meaning these are real, very active users. And then they come to our website, they take actions, such as downloading our wallets, read our white papers, and learn about Horizen nodes. They take actions like these. Actions like these have increased over 2,000% in comparison to just 30 days ago. Same growth we can see is also on our blog site and academy. Bounce rate on blog site has dropped 13%, meaning that not only do we now have more visitors every day, they also read more content on our blog. And we see a massive increase in traffic to our academy as well, over 600 more total users and 641% more new users. So and growth, it's just worth to mention that the organic search has also increased greatly on all three websites. So this means that we are getting more exposure on the search engine, and we are making ourselves more visible to a much wider audience. So now let's take a look at our social media growth. Next slide, please. So we see the same remarkable trend on our different social media channels. So on the right-hand side, the bottom row is the growth in the past 3 quarters. So we always have a very steady growth, but nothing too crazy. But now take a look at the top row. The top row shows the growth in the last 30 days, for Facebook, Twitter, and newsletter subscription. So we can see a huge jump in a new subscribers acquisition. So now by this point, you may ask, what happened? What caused this big growth? So there's a mixture of factors that contributed to the growth, but the biggest contributor is obviously our new faucet. Our data shows that our faucet is the #1 traffic referral for most of our channels in the last 30 days. So how do we know if they're real people, who are genuinely interested in our project? So we already know that these users are taking meaningful actions on our website, like download wallets and white paper and check out notes. So now look at the same detailed metrics on the left side. Along with the increased number of followers, we also see increased engagement with it. So they actually take some form of actions on our posts, on the contents that we post every day. So whether it's they like our post or retweeting or sharing or commenting on our post, etc. So bots don't do that, right? So because of these indications, I believe these are the users, real users, that are going to stick with us and become really valuable members of our ecosystem. And then aside from faucet, there are other factors that also contributed to the growth, including obviously the huge technology milestone that we have announced in our Sidechain Alpha, as well as the new white paper. So we plan a whole suite of campaign to promote this important milestone, including a series of a very informative blog post, as well as a video series explaining our sidechain development in detailed and very personable way. And from that, we can see the improved viewership on our YouTube channel as well, increase the views and subscribers. So now I really wanted to take this opportunity to emphasize that everything that you have just heard about all the growth and accomplishments, they're made possible by, really by team effort. So Jonathan is the person who initiated the hugely successful faucet upgrade project. And then, he's the mastermind behind the project. And Gustavo and Tuan worked super hard to improve, to implement all the improvements, the new features on the faucet and our websites, and Meta for handling the distribution of the faucet payouts and user questions, and and our favorite design team, Linda and Marco, for making all the cool designs for the faucet and the website and the sidechain promotional materials, and also these this very live stream deck, right? So, and then Erica for managing the communication, social media activities, and helping answering community questions. So it's really it really takes a village, and we are small village but very, very powerful village. So I'm really proud to be working side by side with really the best team in the industry. So thank you guys so much. Next slide, please. Okay, so all right, so our favorite merch store in the industry. We have new arrivals. We added new designs and also new product lines in our store. and just in time for the cold weather. So right now we are offering 10% off store-wide. So take this opportunity to grab anything that you want to, deck out your home and update your wardrobe. So this will be a great opportunity to do that. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our team been really busy in the past the few months, just traveling all over the world and then representing Horizen. So we have 18 events in 7 different countries and 12 different cities, and to spread word about Horizen and also our new technology breakthrough sidechain development. And then we share lots of these videos and also pictures on our social media. So make sure that you already subscribe to us and follow us, so you don't miss out any opportunities also to meet our team at your home. I mean your home city. Okay, next slide, please. So these are the upcoming events in the remaining of the month and also in November. So we have several events in Georgia, and Vano will be representing Horizen in all these events, and he will tell us more during his slide. And then Rob will be in Singapore next month giving a speech, an event called the capital by coin market cap. So if you are in Asia or in Singapore or near Singapore, reach out to us. Rob would love to meet you. Would love to meet our community. And then also I will be in Asia as well. I will be in China next month, and then I will be attending some events there locally as well. So if you like to meet me personally, please reach out, and I would love to meet you. All right, next slide, please. Okay, let's go through some regional updates, and then this is where our representatives from different parts of the world, and then let's see what they have done. So China market. So our community manager Guan Ying has been, as always, been working really hard, expanding our communities in China, and then talking to potential partners, and then attending events. So in the last 3 months, and he attended 5 different events offline, and met a lot of very interesting projects, and talked to people who are very interested, actually know already about Horizen, and brought us quite a few opportunities that we can collaboration opportunity with potential partners in China. And then he also did some virtual events online to promote Horizen in different other projects community. So we are, and it's to acquire new users, kind of, from other projects, community, and also help them learn about Horizen, and then help them using the existing tools to buy ZEN and also use ZEN. And then on top of that is one of the things that he's always been doing is the community expansion. And recently we launched a new channel on Weibo, which is kind of the Chinese equivalency to Twitter, because a lot of the mainstream social media channels are not available in China because it's blocked by the government. So we have to kind of do the local ways, and then reach out to the local communities through the local channels, and which Weibo is one of the biggest platform that people use in China. And then because of all the efforts, and then we see a huge community size growth for our Chinese community as well. So. Thank you guys so much, and this is me, and then I will pass it to Angie. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. So hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. So super excited to be here, as usual, with the Latin American updates. So we had an amazing month. We were invited to join a panel discussion on September by one of our partners, Altium. So we discussed a lot of topics regarding blockchain for business and government. Was super, super great to meet a lot of people there. As you can see there in the pictures, we dressed up a little bit and we were there in the event, super, super excited. We also had a partnership with Tec de Monterrey. And as I've been mentioning in some other live streams, this is a big university here in Mexico as well in Latin America. So this is huge for us because we love to support the academic part as we have always shared with you guys. This is part of our vision and philosophy. So this is great. We're also going to start giving some workshops there regarding Horizen 101, node workshops that are going to be hosted by Ruben. So more technical as well for the students, as well as sidechains. So this is great, great news. And next Monday, I will be attending a conference in another university that's located in the state of Tamaulipas here in Mexico, as well pushing a lot of efforts in the academic part, and super, super excited to be here as usual. And that's it from me. I hope to see you guys soon, and I'll pass it on to Manon. Bye.
Thank you, Angie. Hello, everyone. So a bit of news for me in this past month. So on September, I was at a meetup in Strasbourg. So there is a video for the meetup. So the English subtitles are available if you want to see it. Also, last week I did an interview with La Ferme du Mineur. So I spoke about sidechains and about sidechains and a bit about Horizen Academy. So there is also the subtitles available in English if you want to see it. Also, I was on a live radio with Air Connect Radio. So thanks to Kevin for inviting me. That was about 1 week ago. No English subtitles for this one, but the live radio is available on YouTube in French. Also, I will be at the CryptoPunt next Wednesday, and I was there. Also, that's every first Wednesday of the month. So I'm here every month to speak about Horizen and speak about the blockchain with the community there. Also, there is a Horizen Academy translated into French. Soon that will be available on the website. I want to thank Edalex, who helped me to proofread the translations. And maybe I will need you to give some help on GitHub as well to implement this. So that's it from me, and I pass it to Vano.
Thank you, Manon. So Lucy has already covered our events, and I will be short here, providing additional information. So we had quite a large number of events here in our region with great possibilities to present our sidechain technology to a very wide range of people, including developers, investors, and others. And particularly blockchain UA and Chainpoint in Ukraine and Armenia separately has been great for us. And it is worth noting that we are getting invited to absolute majority of these events, and given our progress as a team and as a project, this part is getting easier and easier for me, for example. And regarding our upcoming events, I'm taking part tomorrow in a panel discussion at the conference about blockchain and cryptonomics here in Georgia. Then we have a very large, attended by around 800 people, conference by Students for Liberty here in Tbilisi, Georgia, where we got a booth and are expecting to introduce our technology to a large number of attendees. Last year, our booth has been great at this conference, and we are expecting it to be better this year. And to remind you, with Students for Liberty, we have been doing a lot of stuff, particularly in Africa with Rolf. And then in the middle of November, I'm taking part in the Convergence, the Global Blockchain Congress 2019, which is a 3-day conference in Malaga, Spain, where I will be having a panel discussion and also a great possibility to network with a vast number of attendees and speakers and to introduce our sidechain technology to them. It's a Q&A time now, and with that, I pass it back to Rob and Lucy.
Thank you very much, Vano. And Lucy, what do we have on the Menti board for questions, if any?
Oh yeah, we've got a ton of questions. So the number one most voted question is, when is Sidechain beta planned for, and will it be on main chain or still on testnet?
Sidechain beta. So when will Sidechain beta be available? So what we're targeting is end of Q1. So another few months or 4 months on that. But this is not a production level system. So beta, in this case, we're considering still experimental, and it's a significant extension of the model, and it's something that we will for sure be running on a testnet.
Okay, thank you. So the second question is, what are the benefits of Horizen now, and what achievements have been obtained so far by Horizen? So that's 2 questions.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good couple of questions. So really, what are the benefits of Horizen? You know, the reality is we bootstrapped as a privacy coin. So the benefits were really just getting a privacy-oriented cryptocurrency out to the marketplace and building an ecosystem around that. So it's easy to take a GitHub repository, fork, and then launch a project. Or it was a lot easier, years ago. But what's not easy is the immense amount of effort that goes into building an ecosystem and building out basically a supporting infrastructure in terms of the actual network. So getting thousands or tens of thousands of people to run your software and process transactions, but also to have support from, like what we've done, dozens of exchanges, trading ZEN, plenty of payment processors, point of sale companies supporting it, other partnerships like DCG and all that. That's an immense part of the value proposition for what we brought to just supporting the cryptocurrency. But really what we've done in the last week was introducing this privacy platform. Now, the value proposition for this, because it's not a production level system right now, is really on the idea side. And we have a company called Horizen Labs, which is pioneering or cultivating commercial applications of the technology already, even though it's still on testnet as an alpha, and we still need to mature it to beta before we can actually have some of these demonstrations go to market. But really, the long-term value proposition starts when we get to production with this, and when we can switch it from testnet and to have a working system in production. And now here's where the platform itself can really blossom. So hopefully that answers the question. If not, I'm certainly available on Discord and Telegram to chat with anyone.
Well, I'm sure they would love to chat with you, Rob. And then the next question is, will it be possible for companies who are using Horizen sidechains to run their own nodes for their sidechain?
Absolutely. So a really important thing here is that we are bridging the public-private, boundary, or the industry so far has developed in a sort of bifurcated way, where you had companies that are sensitive to owning their own data and information and wanting to keep a lot of things private, like businesses do, right? And then we have these public networks that are proliferating, like Horizen, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so forth. What we're doing with the sidechain technology is it enables bridging that gap where a company could actually launch a blockchain application or do some business function on a sidechain, leveraging the technology stack that we have, the consensus taking care of for them, security and economies of scale of working with a public network. But still, what they can do is run their own nodes and actually not publicize that data to the world. And when Alberto and the team published the extended model paper, you're going to see a very innovative way for how all of the information, all of the logic, all the data that flows across these, what could be completely private sidechains actually gets adjudicated in a zero knowledge fashion back to the main chain. So the main chain and the public, will not see any of the details that are going on a particular sidechain unless the sidechain owners want that. If they want to participate in the public network in a more transparent way, they can do so. And I think this opens up a whole new world of value propositions for businesses and app devs that doesn't currently exist on the market. So for sure, to answer the question, yes, absolutely. As a sidechain project, as a sidechain developer, you can launch your own sidechain and run the nodes yourself.
Awesome, thank you, Rob. The next question is, when will we start work on DAO and node tracking on sidechains?
When DAO, right? DAO and the node tracking payment system are key elements to decentralizing the ecosystem for sure. I'm super gung-ho about them. Now, the reality is that we're in a budget constrained environment because the price of ZEN is what it is, right? We're near all-time lows, and our budget is denominated in ZEN, right? So the amount of resources that we have to allocate to anything, we just have to be realistic about the projects that we activate. We have to resource load them. We can't just talk about doing something without actually mapping out how to do it and making sure we're allocating sufficient resources to get what we say we're going to do done. Right? And the Treasury DAO system, the decentralized node tracking and payment system, are very important sidechains that are on our long-term roadmap. And I would really love to say we can start them once we get the sidechain system to production, which would be, we're targeting towards the end of 2020. That would be starting work on these things. But this is all conditional on having resources as a project. So really, it's a matter, the market's going to tell us what we can do or not. We can say we want to do anything, and we can have community members say that they want to see something done, and we agree. We're kind of all in agreement here as a community. But until we actually have the market, basically giving us resources to do these things, we just have to abide by that reality. But it's for sure on our roadmap, and from a technical perspective, we can consider starting this work once we actually get sidechains in production.
Awesome. And I know that we are over time, and do we have still have time for a couple more questions? We've already covered these questions, but I think they're very important and will be really helpful for the community.
Cool.
So they're about sidechains. So what is the main difference between Horizen sidechains and other crypto sidechains?
Oh man, so this is a question I really want to bring Alberto back on, because I think having his direct insight in this is huge. And the one thing that I can say is we did a deep dive as a team last week on other sidechain systems, and we actually have a really nice kind of spreadsheet matrix with different elements of a sidechain system and how they compare across the industry, how our technology compares. So let me just bring Alberto back on, and we'll do this.
Nice, we get to see Alberto again.
All right, well, that's always all right, guys, here is the Alberto. So the question that we have here is, how does our sidechain system compare to others that are already on the market? So I know we just did a deep dive as a project. So maybe if you don't mind, just take a few minutes to talk about like some of the key ones that you view as maybe the most important and how ours compares.
Yeah, I would say, but more in general, most of the sidechain systems that are there are mostly centralized in some way, maybe having consensus, let me say, allowing a limited set of parties participating in it. And so many of them make use of this limited set to validate the transfer between the main chain and the sidechain. So these, I mean, it's fine. I mean, if you are okay with having not decentralized or not a fully decentralized environment, we pushed to have a totally decentralized environment. Why? Because we believe that with decentralization, you can have a real blockchain. I mean, otherwise, it's a centralized, is a centralized one, and we believe that a real blockchain should be totally decentralized. And I mean, other projects took other decisions in terms of let me say design and so on. But we think that what we have designed, and even more with the extended model, I mean, gives us the possibility to have a privacy-enabled platform and totally decentralized platform. So this is more in general what I would like to say about the differences between us and the other. But I think that after the publishing of the new paper, it will be even more clear why we are going in such a direction.
Right. No, I completely agree. So, I mean, from like a robustness perspective, and not to go into detail on other projects specifically, but when we say totally decentralized, we're leveraging a 30,000 node network that can act as certifiers for these, or to act as forgers on these networks. So we've built out a huge infrastructure that itself is a major asset that now, in a decentralized way, we're allowing the entire ecosystem to benefit from.
Yeah, because it's a key point, the fact that we do not rely on a small set of actors, and this gives us and gives to the developer and to companies that want to implement their blockchain application, or I mean, in general, to have a really decentralized ecosystem.
Right, exactly. And I'm just going to say this, and maybe you're going to be not so happy with me, but the extended model is going to introduce very interesting innovation that goes beyond even the requirement for an honest majority. And maybe we can hold off on that detail. Yeah. But I just wanted to throw it out there, because if you're listening to this for an hour and a half, you actually love the project, and you can enjoy that detail. So, any other questions, Lucy?
I think those are the most popular questions.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining here. I know it's been significantly longer than usual, but this is a quarterly update and not just a monthly update. So now, please like this, share the video. We're gonna do what we usually do. We're gonna have consolidated blog posts about what the big points that went in here. Make sure you're visiting all of our assets, supporting us on social media, getting the word out about the project, because it's way too important and just awesome of a project to not just get the word out. So everyone should act like Threat out there, the Ret. So from the community highlights earlier. So guys, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.